Howdy do, Who fans, welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 270.
Yes.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator.
I could retire and do that. I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor, sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Howdy do, Who fans. I hope you're all well. Hope you're all safe and healthy. You've had a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related. A little bit of Doctor Who. A bit of Doctor Who never harmed anyone.
No.
Not this week, anyway.
Should hope not.
Yeah, should hope not. Welcome aboard, everybody. Episode 270. Approaching 300, dude.
Yes, we are. Yeah, rattling towards it, aren't we?
Crazy stuff.
I know. Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah. In a week where a lot of conversations happened with Who fans. You and I in particular. Was it the end of last week or the middle of last week? The conversation popped up again, didn't it, about the whole timeless child thing. I think we was watching a live stream and somebody asked, well, what do you guys, it was the Who Addicts, their birthday live stream a week or so ago, and the question came up from Matt, what do you guys think of the timeless child thing and all that, and it was it was just funny because it was a Zoom call and you and everyone else was on there. I could see obviously everyone's faces. Everyone's face was just like, oh no. They've asked that question, and then I saw some tweets about it. Actually, saw somebody else having a very similar conversation about it, where essentially you and I, when we reviewed the end of series 12, didn't really have too much of a complaint about it. We was like, okay, well, it's a very big change, everything it's done, but as time's gone on and we've thought about it more and other things have come up, so as we've gone back and either watch classic Doctor Who and little tiny things have happened where you think, well, actually that's inconsequential now and that doesn't matter because of what's happened with this whole, thing. So yeah, I've just seen a few people also talking about it. So I think I speak for you, but our opinion is changing a little bit over time. At first we were like, okay, well that's kind of cool in a way, and they've changed it up and they've been bold with that stuff, but the more we think about it and the more we watch and read classic Doctor Who stuff, it's like, this is irking me a bit, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I think it'll be very interesting to see if it's picked up in Series 13, if he's going to run with it or if it's just going to be left and that it's done with, but it's there. I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see how that plays out. But it's funny because I was, there's been a lot of tweet-alongs recently with the lockdown and stuff, and I tweeted along with the TV movie the other night, the McGann TV movie, and it was a really fun tweet along, actually, because I've missed a few because there's been quite a lot. So this was, so I didn't do the New Earth Gridlock one. I totally missed that one. But I thought I'd jump in with a TV movie because it's a good sort of 90-minute, it's quite easy to watch. And I've really blimmin' enjoyed it, I mean, I like the TV movie anyway, but I really enjoyed watching it the other night. What struck me about it was how good the direction is in it. It's so well directed, and it does stand up pretty well. I know it's got its issues, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was really good to tweet along with other people who seem to be enjoying it as well. But the reason I mention that is because there's quite a few points in that TV movie when regeneration and the Master trying to steal the Doctor's remaining regenerations and all that. There were bits where my back was going up a little bit. And I kept thinking, there was a few things said in it that I kind of, exactly like you said, I said, that's not really true anymore, is it? But I mean, it's a can of worms. I know Doctor Who's always been like that, because even in the TV movie, you've got the whole he's half human thing and all that. And so you could kick off about that if you want. There's always something, I know, but
there is. Yep.
But yeah, I must admit, I'm in agreement with you. My opinion on the whole timeless child concept is, it's not sitting as comfortably with me as it did when we first watched it. I must admit, and that's just because the more we go back and watch and review Classic Who, the more little things have changed, if you like. I know people are going to be, you can interpret it however you want, but because someone was saying the other day as well about Hartnell, saying that, if you're saying he's had all these things happen before his regeneration, he's not that sort of, he's a very different Doctor, Hartnell. He's not the sort of hero Doctor, is he? He's very much the sort of anti-hero, if you like. And so I know you could say all this stuff's happened and he's had his mind wiped and he started again, but I don't know. It just makes you think more about things, but not necessarily always in a good way, I don't think. So I don't know.
I read you.
Yeah. Did you do the TV movie tweet along?
I did.
No, you did. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was really good. We're fans of the TV movie. Defo.
Yeah, I've always liked it, but something about watching it the other night, I don't know if it was just because I was interacting with other people or what. I just really enjoyed it. I just sat there and thought that was fantastic. It's the most I've enjoyed watching it, I think. Maybe it's just because I was tweeting and other people were pointing things out and you were like, oh yeah, that's good, isn't it, that bit? And there is something about sharing, an episode, be it on Twitter or in a cinema or whatever, watching it together. There is something about that, I think.
No, absolutely, mate. Yeah. And it's very cool I think the good thing about the TV movie also is that it's not overly played and it's not overly talked about. So you haven't got that. So when you're down the pub or at a meetup or a convention, you typically talk about similar things. Like, obviously if there's current Doctor Who going out on the TV, you're talking about that. But then you always talk about, a lot of Tennant episodes that are very popular and some classic Doctors, Tom and Hartnell and those sorts of guys. But with the TV movie, it's not really something that's a talking point that much, really, because people would like to either sweep it under the carpet if they don't like it, or it just doesn't come up that often. And because with our run as well on the podcast, we obviously revolve our reviews between classic and modern and all that stuff. But when we did the TV movie for McGann, that was it, done. So we did it once. Obviously, his main TV outing, and that was it, job done. So the good thing about the TV movie is that when you do come around to watch it again or talk about it, you haven't sort of talked it to death already, if that makes sense, with some of the other stuff to do with Who. So yeah, but we like it here though. It's a good thing. It
just struck me there's so many nice moments in it. Because I think I know there are people who don't like it. That's fair enough. One of the things I often hear associated with it is it's too American. And actually watching it the other night, I was thinking, not really. Most of it's in the hospital. It's not like it's got the American flag, because it was filmed in Canada anyway, wasn't it? So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just think because I know, my good friend Liv from the Who Addicts, I know she can't stand it, and I'm desperate to get her to rewatch it because she's only watched it once. I really want to change her mind, but if she watches it again and she still doesn't like it, then fair enough. But I think there's so many nice moments in it. I just really do like it. Yeah.
Great soundtrack as well.
I was just going to say, it's funny. Every time we mention TV movie, immediately I can hear the music in my head. Just straight away, I hear it just drifting in the background. It's a bit like the TARDIS scene at the end, where it's just sort of slowly fading away, but the opposite, where it's like that jazz soundtrack. I hear it floating in the back of my head. It's amazing. Yeah, I love the music in it.
Yeah, it's got like a gothic type of feel to it. It's like very organy, church organy, and yeah, I know, I really like it. I remember the first time I remember vividly the first time I watched it, thinking to myself, I don't know how this is going to go, because so many people. That was back in the early days when I was on Doctor Who forums and all that stuff, and when I'd gone to conventions. I think the first time I actually spoke about it was when our very first meet-up, when we went to Day of the Doctor over in Slough.
Oh, yeah.
Donkeys years ago. And I remember a lot of people saying, oh, don't bother with that, right? Just steer clear of it, sort of thing. And
we don't talk of it,
yeah. So I remember when I first watched it, I was like, I've got this baggage with me. It's like everybody's, says how, not everybody, but, a large portion of people say how bad it was. But after I watched it, I thought, what are they talking about? It's not that bad. It's not like, it's not like as, it's not going to overtake like some of the other proper classic stories from Classic Who. A lot of classics in there. It's not going to overtake any of those. However, there's certainly a lot of worse. Yeah, well, there's plenty of worse stories out there.
Oh yeah, definitely. The thing that strikes me about it is how beautifully produced it is. It's just, it just looks, as I said, it stands up very well. It still looks great on screen. The TARDIS interior and the outside as well, the box that they built for it, just everything about it. I think it's my favourite TARDIS inside and out. It's just everything about it just looks beautiful. I think even now I don't sit there and think, oh, that console hasn't dated very well, that looks a bit cheap now. It still looks fantastic.
The console, it's so good. That's another dividing thing, but I love that console, dude.
I had to dig out, I can't remember if you've got one. I've got a picture from LFCC with McGann at the console. So they had the console there, and then they green screened the backdrop, obviously. And I dug that out to repost on Twitter. And I looked at that fact and I thought, it's weird because I've sort of forgotten I'd got it, because I've got two with McGann. I got one just with a blue backdrop and then the console one. And I'd sort of forgotten that I'd got it. Sounds crazy, but I was looking at it thinking, man, I love this photo. It's me and McGann at the concert. How could I forget that I had this done? This is brilliant. So, I posted that out. Did you get one?
Yeah, dude. I loved that. I loved McGann on that day. I absolutely loved him because he just said one sentence to me that just made my day. And normally at conventions, when you go for photo shoots, as anyone knows who has had one, it's really not a personal thing.
No.
So you queue up for your photo, you're in there for literally 3 seconds, and then you're shoved out, and that's it. So I remember earlier on in the day, we went for our photo shoot with just McGann, not at the console, but just the normal shoot. I remember walking up to him, shaking his hand, something like, "Hi, Paul, I'm Gary. Nice to meet you. Love your work." Something like that. Anyway, later on in the day, this is like 4 hours later, when we get to the TARDIS console photo shoot, they're like, right, your turn. Running up as I got to the console, he's like, "Oh, Gary, we meet again, young sir." Just that one sentence, because he remembered my name from earlier on in the day. He's probably spoken to thousands of people.
I was just going to say, imagine how many people he spoke to.
Yeah, so that made my day, mate. That was like the best thing, because he didn't. I you know what we're like with remembering names and people and stuff. There's no way we would remember, people. So I loved him on that day. Just that one little sentence. That was enough to make it for me. It was awesome.
He's a top guy. He really is, McGann. Yeah, he really is.
Yeah. I think the first time I saw him in the flesh was over at Collectomania Milton Keynes.
Oh yeah,
quite a few years ago. Yeah, I dragged the wife and and the kids over, and we was walking through, because they do it in the they do it at the stadium in Milton Keynes.
Yes,
the football
I remember.
Stadium, don't they? And it's weird because there's a hall, but then there's like corridors around the stadium that they do stores and stuff in. I was just walking through there, and it's always my wife. She's got such like an eagle eye. Like walked past him, didn't even notice, and she's like, "That's Paul McGann." I'm like, "No, it's not." She was like, "Yeah, that's Paul McGann." So we like ran back down, I was like, Paul, can I grab a quick selfie? Bosh, that was it done. If she hadn't have said that, if she hadn't have seen it, I wouldn't have done it. And she did the same thing in St. Pancras. When I saw
McCoy.
McCoy. Yeah, she was like, that's McCoy. I did the same thing. I was like, no, it's not. She went, I'm telling you, that's Sylvester McCoy. So I ran back down, the same thing. God bless the wife, eh?
I remember that's a great picture you got of McCoy. I can't remember your McGann one. You'll have to show me.
I'll show you that one.
Yeah, I remember the McCoy one because I can see his little face is lit up because you've mentioned The Hobbit.
That's
you didn't
right.
just talk to him about Doctor Who. You said, I do love The Hobbit as well. Or was it Lord of the Rings, whichever it is he's in?
The Hobbit, yeah.
Hobbit.
Yeah. I started off about Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm such a huge fan, Sylvester, of your Doctor. I love your era. Such a big fan of it. And he was a bit of a smile. So I also really like you as Radagast in The Hobbit. And his face lit up, and that was it. He
little
was
face
chatting
lit
about, yeah. He's probably like, thank God, not just Doctor Who.
Yeah. Well, it's always nice to have someone acknowledge something else you've done, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you've done anything else. Some actors didn't.
Exactly. So, Colin, let's talk about your other bits.
Oh, harsh.
Keep the gloves up. Come on.
I know I don't know the actor's name, and I can't remember the story. I know there is one actor who's got a really bad reputation. I think he was one character in Robots of Death that gets killed at the beginning. I think I'm the right one, but I might not be, because as you just said, I remember it's not great. And I know a few people have met him, and he's like, oh, why is it always this Doctor Who? Why is it always Doctor Who? He gets really cross about it. I might be wrong about that. I don't want to get the wrong actor in trouble, but I'm pretty sure when my friend said he met him, it was the guy in Robots of Death that gets killed. I think it's the guy who goes, robot. I might be wrong, so I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But there is an actor out there. It could be him. It might not be. Who apparently gets quite cross when you give him a picture to say, why is it always Doctor Who? I was only in it for 3 minutes. Why? Actually, and also, I know this one's definitely true. Imelda Staunton, is it?
Yep.
I know when my friend met her, she was she went, oh, you people, I only did a voiceover in Doctor Who. Oh, because obviously she's done loads, hasn't she? I don't know, celebs, dish in the dirt now.
Imelda Staunton. Oh, she's in Harry Potter, isn't she?
She's the Harry Potter, and I think she did like a voice of something. And I remember a friend asking to sign a Doctor Who picture. She was, yo, you people, she went.
Oh dear.
I only did a voice. Anyway, yeah.
She did a voice in Doctor Who?
I think she did. Again, I'm probably getting it all wrong. But yeah, anyway, let's go back to McGann because he was good. He was positive. And actually, I've ordered the new Big Finish McGann set literally 2 days ago because it comes out this month. This Stranded box set that they're doing with McGann and the Curator. I think it just sounds a really interesting premise. So I've ordered that this week. Just waiting for it to be released because I know it's out this month, so looking forward to that. It's annoying actually because I go back to work next week and I've got so much stuff still to listen to. I'll just be adding another thing to it, but I am looking forward to that one. Does sound pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, the Stranded does sound good actually.
Yeah. I haven't really done anything Doctor Who related this week, mate, but I have done something slightly Torchwood related. So this is really random actually. We were going through the TV channels the other night, just trying to find something to watch because I've just finished off the 3rd series of Killing Eve, which was absolutely awful. Do you remember how much I used to love that series?
You gave me the rundown on this, yeah.
Series 1 of Killing Eve is brilliant. Series 2 was okay. It wasn't great, but it had some good moments. Series 3, my word. Anyway, I finished it and said, well, that was a waste of time. So I needed to find a new series to watch. I was like, so going through the channels. I don't know how we were on Sky and we drifted on to Alibi. The channel Alibi?
Alibi, oh yeah.
No, see, I thought it was all repeats. I thought Alibi was full of old, like Columbo and, the Rockford Files. And I didn't realise it actually produced new content as well. And we found 2 really good new series. One called The Scarlet and the Duke. That's nothing to do with torture. Just that's quite good. And then another one called We Hunt Together, which has got Eve Miles in it. And it's blimmin' brilliant. It is one of those when every time we finish an episode, I'm like, should we watch the next one? I think it's only 6 episodes. But she's so good in it. And she's not even on the picture come up and it was just a picture of one of the guys in it. She wasn't even in the picture. I don't know why we selected it. I don't know what drew us to it, because there's about a million things on it. We just press play. Oh, this sounds interesting, because we like sort of cop shows and thrillers. And I start watching it, and then Eve Miles pops up. I'm like, oh, Gwen's in it. Oh, okay. Oh, because I wasn't really invested in the first few minutes because I hadn't chosen it. If you know what I mean. So yeah, it's really good. If anyone's like sort of, it reminds me of Killing Eve when it was good, but not. It's not the same story or anything, but it's got that sort of really good gripping, lots of twists, and Eve Miles is brilliant in it. She's playing a sort of police officer stroke detective, and she's got a few issues going on, and yeah, I'm just really, really enjoying it. And her acting in it is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a bit adult.
So yeah, it's a bit adult. Yeah. It's not for the younger viewers. Mate, it's not too bad actually. There's one or two bits of violence. Probably the first episode's the most graphic, but after that, it's not really that much in it, I don't think. But anyway, yeah, not for the younger ones. It's a 15 or an 18, I suppose.
Yes.
There's a bit of language. It's a bit of blue.
A little bit of blue.
A bit of blue language in it, I'm afraid. But it's a very good series. Yeah, we hunt together. Yeah, I recommend it. Really do recommend it.
Saw an advert for it weeks ago.
I'd never heard of it.
But I've not seen it.
Yeah, really recommend that. So yeah, that's I'm sort of trying to find something that I've done this week which is even related to Torchwood, and that's the only thing I can find, but it is very good.
Oh, nice.
I haven't done anything Doctor Who. I've been really in the mood for Hartnell, but I really wanted to watch some classic Who this week, and I just fancied some black and white Hartnell, but I just haven't had a chance really. I'm just gearing up to go back to work, so just haven't had a chance for anything else.
I read you, dude. I haven't done anything really, like watching stuff. I have picked up, I'm halfway through the City of Death Target book.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm halfway. This is a really good read, actually. James Goss.
James Goss? Yeah.
He does he writes his descriptive writing of Tom in this case is really good. So as he's writing stuff, you can picture in your mind so clearly, what he's getting at, not just because not from the televised version of the story, but just the way he writes stuff is really cool. So I'm halfway through this. I think I've got another, 4 chapters to go, something like that. So that's very cool, because remember on the last show, we spoke about, or the show before that, we spoke about Target books. So I've got a couple I haven't read. So yeah, City of Death, it's a good one. It's not very big as well. You can read it in a few days or a week tops.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I love the Target books. Well, I do. I love them.
Love them. Love a bit of Target. That's all I've done, dude. It's been fairly quiet as usual at the moment with that. Right, before we crack on with the rest of the show, we haven't got any news to go through. Very quiet on that front as expected, but we have got a few bits of cool merch to get through, and then we're on to our review of Torchwood Sleeper. But before that, remember that you can subscribe to our show in whatever podcast app you listen to your podcast on. Just do a search for the Big Blue Box Podcast. You'll find us on there. That way you don't miss a show when it lands on a Friday. We're on the socials too. Instagram. There's a new one. Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. There are links on the website. Just head over there, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. There are links to the podcast networks and apps as well. There's a link to the Discord server as well. Come and hang out and chat Doctor Who over there. And as always, remember to check out my co-host's channel over on YouTube, The Geek's Handbag.
Geek's Handbag, yes.
And Adam's on the socials as well under the same name, The Geek's Handbag. Go and check him out.
Indeed.
Plenty of cool vids. Right, dude. Let's saddle up old Grumpy and get some merch done.
Yeah.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Well, there you are, young man. What do you think of that now, eh? A Viking helmet.
I know, it's on the telly. It's everywhere.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
Try work in a shop now, here to help.
There's a new book about the TARDIS coming out.
I can never have enough books about the TARDIS, quite frankly.
Well, actually, it's out now. It's called The TARDIS Chronicles, Volume 1. And it's written, designed, and illustrated by Paul Smith, which is cool. One-man band. He put out the book, The Classic Doctor Who DVD Compendium, and the New Who Programme Guide.
Ah.
So he's had a bit of experience with writing for Who, which is good. There's a foreword by Clayton Hickman, who we know is a bit of an expert on on all things TARDIS.
Yeah.
If you follow his Twitter feed, you'll know that if you want to find out the size and width screw that goes in the top third section of a TARDIS that's only appeared on screen once, he'll be able to tell you exactly what that is and stuff. So that's kind of cool. And so it's out now. You can order it from, there's only a link to Amazon, but it's probably out on other bookshops. It's $22.99. So on Amazon at the moment, it's in stock, which is good, shipped in 1 or 2 days. And the blurb that came out for this one is the TARDIS Chronicles charts the complete voyages of the Doctor's space and time machine in greater depth than ever before, as well as every journey seen on screen. It also covers all those we only hear the Doctor mention, with an I once met and I remember when. Sounds pretty cool. It also features comprehensive histories of every police box prop, control room set and console, covering their design, construction, usage and modifications. These are illustrated with accurate schematics, including annotated plans of every control room and their variations. Now, this begs the question, what would they do in Volume 2?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
If they're covering everything.
How far does this go up? Yeah.
But it does sound quite cool.
It does. I must admit, I've seen a lot of people tweeting about this book, saying how good it is. And I've seen a couple of pages from it, from the because I had to look at the actual website where you can get it. I know it's Amazon, but what's the publisher called? From those guys, they've got a couple of sort of preview pages on there. And so apparently it's a really good book. I am intrigued by it because I genuinely like anything to do with the TARDIS. I genuinely like to sort of get. So I'm very interested in sort of like the TARDIS console bits that are in it and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'll be honest with you. If times weren't as hard as they are at the minute because of work and stuff, I probably would have just got this because I've heard so many people say it's good, but it's just the price tag, £23. I just haven't really got that at the minute. But I've put it on my wish list. It's definitely something I'd like to get this. I do hear it's good.
Yeah, the publisher's Wonderful Books. So wonderful books, but it looks like they didn't manage to get the URL quite correctly when they set up the company website. So if you go to wonderfulbook.co.uk, not books, you'll see it on there. Yeah, and you're right, mate. They've got a couple of sample pages and stuff. It does look very nice. Yeah.
It does, yeah.
I'll link to it in the show notes. But yeah, if you're into your TARDIS history, modifications, illustrations, all that jazz, this will be the book for you.
Cool. Yeah, I've put it on my wish list. Talking of wish list, this is another one. Robert Harrop have released their latest figure. I think anyone who's a regular to the podcast knows how much I love the Harrop figures. Again, just price, it's 65 quid, I think, but I just haven't quite got the money for this one at the minute. But it does look very nice. It's Agador from the Curse of Peladon. The figure, I think they've done a good job with this one. I again would love to get him, but I just at the minute just can't afford him. But I think this is one of another cracker from Harrop. Also, I've seen the next figure they're doing, which is the Ice Lord, which looks amazing. So I'm just saving really for him. But Agador, mate, would you like one of these on your shelf? He's a limited edition of 200 hand painted pieces.
Yeah, he does look very cool. I will pass on this one. I'll pass on this one. But he does look very cool though. If you're a fan of him, and the way they do the paintwork on these resin statues as well is really cool. So his mouth and his nose, they put like this kind of clear gloss over it, so it looks wet and slimy and stuff. Very well done.
I have a feeling I'll pick him up at some point. Normally, is the minute these go for sale, I'm on them like a flash. But as I said, it's just I'm not a big fan of those stories, to be honest. Curse and it's Monster, isn't it? The other one, Monster of Peladon. I'm not really a fan of the Peladon stories, unfortunately. So it doesn't appeal to me as much as some of the other figures that they've done or some of the ones that they've got coming out. So for now, I'm going to pass on him. But he almost looks a bit cute. He looks very furry, doesn't it? There's something about him I quite like. I would like to have him on my shelf. So I'll probably get him at some point if he doesn't sell out too quickly.
He looks like the evil brother of Alf. Do you remember Alf, that TV program?
Yes.
Back in the 90s.
He does.
Is it the 80s or early 90s?
Yeah, Alien Life Form.
Yeah. What a program.
Oh, man, now I can't see anything else.
He looks like really does. Evil cousin or something.
If anyone's too young to remember Alf, just Google Alf TV show and you'll see what we mean. his evil brother.
Yeah.
Agador's at the door.
Well, I'll link to this in the show notes as well. But another good-looking figure from Harrop.
Yes, it looks nice. Yeah. I haven't got the price in front of me, but I'm pretty sure when I looked at the website, it was 65, I think, plus packing. Yeah,
it is 65.
Post.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as Adam said, only 200. So if you do want it, then jump on and get that.
Yeah, they do tend to sell out fairly quick, Harrop. So yeah, if you want it, go and grab it.
Yes. Moving on, last bit of merch news. We've had an update to the Time Lord Victorious storyline. That is going to be going out later on in the year. So we reported a couple of weeks back around the books that are going to be launching around that time. And now we've had an update from Big Finish. They're going to release 4 separate stories that are going to tie into the whole Time Lord Victorious thing. And 3 of them are main stories, and one of them is the Big Finish short trips. So anyone that's not listened to the short trips, it's essentially a story around one of the Doctors or the companions, but it's not like an all-star cast. It's just typically narrated or spoken through by one person. In this case, it's the Master. So this is called Master. There's 2 stories in this. One's called Master Thief, which is written by Sophie Ellis. Sophie Ellis? That's not right.
Sophie Isles.
Isles, sorry, yeah. And the other one is Lesser Evils by Simon Guerra. Guerra? I think I'm saying that right.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yes. And but it's 2 masters. We've got the Delgado Master and the Ainley Master, and both of them have been voiced by John Culshaw, which is cool.
Oh, right.
So he's got his master's hat on. And
I've just got a vision of him in the booth, like almost like some sort of, flicking between the 2, going mad.
I wonder if he's sort of glued on like the goatees, because they're slightly different for each actor, aren't they? Yeah. So Master Thief, this one, the Master wants to plunder one of the most secure vaults in the universe, the repository. He's got a plan and a deadly new weapon to assist him. However, as the Master quickly discovers, getting it might be easy, but getting away with it might cost him everything. And then Lesser Evils is the Keturah have arrived on the planet Alexis to distribute the gift of the death to its inhabitants. This one sounds dark already.
It does.
The only person standing in their way is a renegade Time Lord who has sworn to protect the locals, a Time Lord called the Master. Now, I'm guessing that this is an ulterior motive story. It sounds on face value like the Master's doing a good deed here, but I imagine there's some underhanded,
I would think so,
ulterior motive for him wanting to do that. So that's the short trips one. And then we've got 3 other stories. The first one is called Time Lord Victorious, He Kills Me Not. This one's been written by Carrie Thompson. And this is the 8th Doctor story. This is McGann. And the cast is... there's a small supporting cast, but essentially just the Doctor. And this one is on the desert world of Athana. The Doctor's life is about to be changed forever. Looking to visit one of the 700 wonders of the universe, he's quickly embroiled in a web of deceit. Worse than that, this wonder of the universe is missing, and the Doctor is about to encounter one of the most dangerous and duplicitous adversaries. The Doctor is about to meet Brian. Brian.
Wow, did they think because we got such a standard name, we'll have to go with a very big word to make him sound more important?
How do you say that bloody word? Duplicitous, something like that. Anyway, moving on. So that's...
Don't even know what it means.
Yeah, He Kills Me Not. That's the first one. Number 2 in the series is called The Enemy of My Enemy. Again, this is just a McGann story. But it's also got Nick Briggs doing something. So I imagine, this is a Dalek story.
Dalek, yeah.
Written by Tracy Ann Baines. The people of Arax are happy to begin peaceful negotiations with the Dalek Empire. The 2 species are preparing to engage in an alliance that will last throughout the ages. The only one who seems to object to this happy union is the Doctor. He knows that you can never trust the Daleks, but more than that, he knows that the Raxians should never have existed. This one sounds interesting, dude.
That does sound interesting, yeah.
Yeah, because when I first heard this, when I first saw the cover, I thought, here we go, it's another Dalek story.
Oh, it's exactly what I thought, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, but then the description sounds pretty cool. So that's that one. And then the third one, final one, is called Mutually Assured Destruction. Again, McGann. Nick Briggs is in this one too. He's playing the Dalek, so another Dalek story. And the fallout of the Great Battle. Outnumbered and alone on a Dalek time ship careering through the vortex, the Doctor must use all his cunning to survive. As the saucer disintegrates around them, the Doctor is trapped with a crew of increasingly desperate Daleks. Or are the Daleks trapped with him? So 3 main stories there. 1 about Brian, 2 about the Daleks.
I'm very intrigued by Brian.
I'm not happy about this, mate.
Why?
Because I feel like with this whole Time Lord victorious big multi-Doctor thing, I feel like we need Tennant in here. And we need a bit of Jacob Dudman doing some Eccleston.
Well, I think, so we are getting... Tennant will be... I don't know, because they've got the 2 books coming out. They're Tennant. Then I'm guessing Big Finish are doing these audio, so they're 8. Who else is supposed to be in this? Eccleston, he'll probably be on the comics or something. And then what's the other format they're doing this on?
The escape rooms.
Escape room, that'll probably be Rose. So that, because I'm thinking of the poster they put up, so we know what we're getting, don't we? But I guess everybody's tackling a different section of it, I reckon. So it all comes together like that.
I read you. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm loving the artwork. Lee Binding doing a cracking job. And who did the Time of Victorious one? Because that's good as well.
Yeah, that was Anthony Lamb.
Anthony Lamb, yeah. Artwork's cracking on this. It's not a bad deal, actually. So these are $8.99 each on download, or $10.99 for what they now call the collector's CD. But you can get them as bundles. So I think you can get all 3 CDs for £25, which isn't bad.
That's cool.
And digital, I don't know what that would be, 20 probably. Let me have a quick look.
Yeah, it's normally a 5 or less, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's right. Yeah, so it's 25 for the 3 CDs, 29 if you want the 3 CDs in the download bundle, and download is 22. Yeah, again, if I had the money, I would definitely pre-order the bundle of the 4 probably for £29. I think that's a really good deal, but these aren't out till the end of the year, so they're October, November, December.
Yeah.
And I don't know, with Big Finish, because they take the money straight away, I'm afraid I always order literally like a couple of days before, like always at the end of the month. I'll go and have a look to see what's coming out the following month and then pre-order it so that I know that I've got them. But yeah, I would like to order the whole lot, to be honest, but I just think at the minute I just got to be a bit careful on money. But I wish, if Big Finish, honestly, I know the reason they do this is to keep them funded, and absolutely I get it. But if they took the money on dispatch, I would pre-order so much more. I would just literally pre-order loads, but because they take it straight away, I can't really be shelling out £30 for something that's not out till... Same with the Master Set. Master Set's not out till January next year, so I'm afraid I'm not ordering that yet because I just can't afford it.
No, that makes it makes a lot of sense, dude. Yeah, I think a lot of people have said that to Big Finish as well.
Yeah, but it's a good offer. I mean, it is worth getting the bundle. If you're going to get all 3, you can get the whole lot for £25. It's that's pretty decent when they're $10.99 each. So, yeah.
Yes. Did they mention something very briefly in their? They put out that statement that we spoke about last week.
Yeah.
About them changing up how they're going to release stuff from 2021 and whatnot.
Yes.
It would be really good idea for when they're going to move to that new release schedule, if they also changed up there, because I wouldn't mind paying for Big Finish on something similar to what you pay for Netflix or something. So if you did like, I don't know, X amount of pounds a month, and that was a regular payment that went out of your account, like you pay for Disney Plus or Netflix or whatever, then that'd be cool. You could have 2 tiers. You'd have like your physical subscription, which is maybe a couple of quid more, and then your digital one. So that would be cool if they had like a subscription model. And then if you wanted like the big collector sets, you could like pay like a few extra pounds to get those or whatever. But all of those, because then when they move to the new release schedule, they're all going to be these Doctor specific volumes and box sets, aren't they? They're not going to have this monthly range of flitting
right,
between
yeah.
doctors. So you would know that every month you're getting, two different, a doctor's box. I don't know, something like that.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Who knows?
Good idea. Get on the phone to Briggs.
Who knows? Yes. But yeah, that's all the Big Finish stuff. So lots of Time Lord Victorious stuff happening. And I think you're absolutely right there, dude. I didn't clock that before. It seems like Tennant's going to be for the books. McGann's going to be for the Big Finish audios. Eccleston for the comics.
I'm guessing.
That's what it looks like, isn't it, so far?
I think so.
Yeah. So yeah, get on the train for Big Finish for that stuff. That's coming out. When is it? October. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, October, November, December.
Octoberage. Right. Review time, bud.
Yeah. Yes. Cracking on with series 2 of Torchwood, with the second episode, which is called Sleeper.
He's a sleeper agent.
Who for?
They're only survivors. They infiltrate planets, adapting their bodies, gathering intelligence, sometimes for years, watching until they're ready to take over.
Okay, that's creepy. What if there's more of them?
By the time they attack, they know every single thing about the planet. When are the others coming?
They're already here.
She's part of a cell and they've activated. It's happening. Tell me how to stop it!
Tell me how to stop it.
Jack. Very forceful.
Jack losing his rag a few times in this one.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah, he's not taking any nonsense in this one.
Zero patience. Like I've told you before. Now give me the information. Anyway, Sleeper. From Torchwood, episode 2 of series 2. It was first broadcast back on the 23rd of January 2008. It was written by James Moran, directed by Colin Teague. Know that name very well by now.
Mm-hmm.
It stars the current normal hub people and a small supporting cast. And the blurb is burglary turns into a bit of a slaughter, and Torchwood suspect alien involvement when the investigation escalates into a citywide assault from said aliens. Jack realises the whole planet is in danger. Which it kind of isn't, really.
Not really.
Cardiff is. Probably some of Wales. But yeah. Sleeper, dude. Into series 2 now. Are we up and downy like series 1, or is this... Because what did we rate last?
We enjoyed the last one, didn't we? Whatever that was. The first step.
Yeah, what was that? Kiss, Kiss, Bang, Bang.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty decent.
7.5, yeah.
So what do you reckon then? Were you keeping the train going? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't think this was too bad, actually. I didn't remember anything about it. So when we said, next week it's Sleeper, I looked at the picture on Wiki of Beth and thought, I don't even remember this episode. And I saw a few comments once we put the post up saying, this isn't very good. And I thought, oh dear. So I didn't go into it with particularly high expectations, to be honest with you. I thought, is this going to be a bit of a dud? It's not groundbreaking. It's nothing great, but I enjoyed it on the whole. I thought it was quite an interesting idea of this thing being inside you, gathering information, ready to attack. I liked that concept. And I thought it mostly moved along at a good pace. There was a couple of bits where I was a bit bored. But one thing I did think overall as an episode was the chemistry between the cast is very good now, because I know that was one of the issues we had in series 1. Like the humour, there's some good humour in this. There's a couple of really good lines that actually made me laugh. I thought, the humour's working a lot better by now. The cast seemed to be on fire. Jack's a lot less cheesy in this episode, which was nice to see. He seems a little bit more serious, quite angry. So I thought the cast helped a lot in this. I thought it seemed to be all gelling together quite nicely. So it's not a standout episode, but I didn't think it was too bad. I quite enjoyed it overall. Yeah.
Okay.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind it at all. It was an enjoyable watch. I think, yeah, you nailed it. I think it's just not going to win any awards for anything, and it's not groundbreaking in any way. It's just a sort of average, enjoyable Torchwood watch. It's that real kind of you're not on the edge of your seat, but at the same time, you're not really falling asleep. You know, it's just, it kind of goes through and it's fairly good. I did think, do you know what, mate? The only thing, there's been a few Torchwood episodes like this in series 1 where I have to say that the only tiny little niggly bits that spoil it for me are actually John Barrowman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think for the most part, the performances were pretty good. I really like Eve Miles in this one.
Yeah, she's very good in it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got that. It's another one of those stories where she's got a big heart, hasn't she? She's you know, she's very she becomes very attached to
Beth.
To Beth, yeah, and she wants the best for her, even though she knows that she's like this kind of maniacal, grand scheming killing machine. You know, she still forms like an attachment to her. So that's really cool. It's nice when Miles is like that, because I like Eve Miles, when Gwen's being that type of character. I don't like it when she's being the slutty, all over somebody. I just want to, you know, screw Reese over every 5 minutes. I don't like her when she's like that. I do like her when she's like this. So that's cool. But John Barrowman, dude, I don't know what it is. There was just some episodes. I had it in series 1 as well, where for the most part he's great. But there was just these couple of episodes where I just feel like he's trying too hard. Like the script has been written in a way that, like, I can just imagine like the script where the notes for each scene are like Jack's pointing his gun and is very angry at something. So John Barrowman, you know, equates that to I'm just going to shout loudly. And it just doesn't work sometimes. Because it doesn't have the impact, you know.
I think I know what you mean. I think they're trying to be, so Jack and Gwen in this story very much trying to be good cop, bad cop, aren't they?
Yeah.
So poor old Bess in the middle being pretty much put through the ringer, actually. They really do, I wouldn't say torture her, but they're pretty harsh, I think, considering that I mean, I know at the beginning they don't know that she doesn't know that she's got this thing inside her, but yeah, they do put her through the ringer, but that's the dynamic they're going for, isn't it? So Gwen's very caring, whereas Jack's shouting and hollering and slamming things. And I didn't think it was too, I mean, I prefer it when he's like that, I think, to being sort of all the cheesiness that we get, or maybe if we could get a good balance between the two. I mean, I think there's a good bit where he says something like, actually, no, he's not particularly good in that scene, but actually there is a good line where he says something about being dashing. But actually, it's Yanto that brings that particular bit of the script to life, and he goes, well, you must admit he is dashing. But yeah, it's actually Yanto that probably steals that scene a bit. And there's also a great bit where Owen says, no, so like, we're all going to die or something. He said, oh, well, let's just all have sex. And Yanto's like, well, just when I thought the end of the world couldn't get any worse. And there's some good lines in it like that. So, but yeah, I guess Barrowman, I don't know. I don't think he was too bad in it, but I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Do you know what? One of the best things, though, I was going to bring him up later, was Yanto in this one. He's just on fire. It's like, I don't know what, it's strange that they've written him in this way, because, don't get me wrong, I'm glad about it, because in series 1, he was written as a bit of a wet blanket, really. So he was only there in little doses, wasn't he? And he was a bit of a butler sort of figure, where he just sort of brought them coffee, ordered the pizza. And then there was a couple of episodes where they fleshed him out a bit, but he was just very whiny and cryy and all that stuff. But now in series 2, they're like, well, let's change this up a bit. Let's have him just be this real kind of savage, sassy, funny sort of thing. And I think there's about 4, maybe 5 occasions throughout the story where something pretty important happened and quite shocking. But then Yanto just comes out with this funny one-liner, and it's like, you know, it kind of sets the tone for the whole story, because they could have gone down the whole doom and gloom and
he
leave
does
it at
add
that.
to much needed comic relief. They finally realised what they want to do with the character, haven't they? They finally realised, like you said in series 1, he's not really funny. He mopes around a lot. I think they finally realised that they've got quite a good character here that can come in with the odd good one-liner and just, you know, be like, again, he is still in the background a bit. But there's bits where he pops up and just says things like something about sniffing we don't sniff the something or other reactor. He comes out of nowhere just with his clipboard, doesn't he, when she's being shown around the hub, and nice little scenes like that. So I think they finally figured out Yanto's character. And I mean the writers, because I don't think he was really given anything to work with particularly up till now, even in his sort of Cyberwoman episode with his girlfriend. He just spent most of it crying and moping around. So I think we're finally getting to see the Yanto that we sort of get to know properly, if you like, the one that we like.
The one that we like, yeah.
Well, because that's the thing. I remember liking the character of Yanto, and then when we started revisiting series 1, I was starting to question why. I was thinking, I remembered liking him, but he's rubbish. But now I think, I'm starting to see why I did like Yanto. Yeah.
Yeah. When he's like this, he's just really cool because it provides a bit of, not comic relief in a way. He's not a comedian. He's not like, he's not, his purpose isn't to make light of the situation on purpose. He just does it because, I don't know, he's got like a renewed sense of confidence about him. So there's a couple of other bits in the story where he's very confident, like, how did they, get past security or something like that? And he's like, well, I know everything about Torchwood. How do they know more than me about this sort of place? There's another bit later on where they're talking about something else. He's like, I know everything. He's just much more confident, and I think that's what makes those lines funny. Is that you can tell that those lines have been written because his character is now more, well, I'm just going to say this funny thing, even in light of like something bad happening where I wouldn't have done that before. So they're not doing it because we feel the script is dry or we feel like it's too serious. Let's just have a funny one-liner, because anybody could have said those things. But they've given him to Yanto because I think they want to move his character along in such a way that we don't want the whining kind of, delivery boy character that we've had so far.
Yeah.
It's really cool, actually, his character. Now I remember, as we're watching through them, and now every time that those kind of scenes happen, I'm like, now I remember that, like, how Torchwood kind of improves as we get through and we leave series 1 behind. It's those moments where I think, actually, I remember now. It was very cool watching Torchwood from before.
Yeah, I'm glad about that, because I was slightly worried having revisited series 1. It definitely, there was some good stuff, but it definitely wasn't as good as I remembered at all. But this so far, series 2 started off quite promising. Cast are definitely gelling better together. They, like you said, the interaction, even in that scene we just talked about between the three. So you've got Tosh and Owen and Yanto together in the hub. There's some good banter going on between those three in amongst the action and stuff. The other things that they've sort of toned down, sort of, from series 1. So there was a lot of bad language just thrown in. A couple of scenes that were just, you just thought, well, it didn't really need that. There was no need for that. We still get the odd expletive, I think, but it seems to have been toned down a bit. I thought the violence, maybe gratuitous violence, may have been toned down a bit in series 2, but I think in this episode there's still quite a bit in there. There's a couple of really nasty scenes. Are they? The thing is, I was thinking last night, are they gratuitous or does it add to the story?
One of them is.
Sorry?
One of them is.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think certain bits, okay, because this thing of this spear thing, this sword that comes out of their hand is really quite frightening, and I think it's a great idea because it is scary. God, but there is a couple of bits where I thought, that was a bit, I don't know, a bit much.
Yeah, I only thought that about once. So the scene I'm talking about is when the guy in the suit, who's a sleeper agent, and he comes to life. He goes to this person's house, and the guy opens the door, gets his hand turns into the spear, and then in front of his wife and his kids, knifes the crap out of him, and there's like blood all over his shirt and blood everywhere.
And he goes back and forth a couple of times. That's the bit I thought as well. I didn't need that. Yeah.
The other scenes, I didn't think they were gratuitous, because the first scene, so the story is set up with Beth and her husband just in bed. They hear a burglar. They get up, and that's how the story kicks off, where we don't see it on screen. But we know later on that it's Beth, her kind of inner sleeper sort of implant has kicked in. Yeah. And it's like, she can't, the thought of being killed, the implant has sort of woken her up into her other self, her alien self, and has killed those burglars. Yeah.
It was a good way to start that as well, wasn't it? I thought it was a good way to kick the story off, because it did, having not remembered anything about this story, I was intrigued. I thought, well, what is going on here? Clearly she knows something, or clearly, something's gone wrong. So I did think that was a great way to kick off the episode. They unravelled the story quite nicely as well. I think, again, the pacing wasn't too bad in terms of the reveal of this thing in her arm and everything. That was quite well done.
Yeah.
But I agree with you about that scene. I think what makes it gratuitous, perhaps just a little unnecessary, is it's in front of the family, I think, is the bit that sort of makes me feel a bit yucky. There's just something about that which is just not very pleasant. I don't know. And also the fact, as I said, you see him get stabbed and then he sort of goes in and out a couple of times and blood splatters over the wife's face. And I thought, we kind of get we could have got the point without that, really. The guy's dead. You don't really need to see that sort of stuff. So, maybe still a little bit gratuitous in places. But then again, this is Torchwood that went out fairly, not late, but it went out in sort of later evening, didn't it? Yeah, true. And I'm thinking, of that other spin-off we had, Class. I mean, for me, most of the violence, and I have only watched it once, so maybe I shouldn't judge it too much, but I remember thinking most of the violence in Class was just there for the sake of it. Or at least a lot of it. I remember thinking they were trying to just be adult for the sake of it. And I thought that was something they didn't learn from Torchwood, is that you can be scary and frightening and you can have scenes like that. Hitchcock was very good at, making you think you'd seen something when you hadn't, just by using sound and imagery rather than actually just showing stuff on screen. So, but yeah, I know what you mean. This is not this is far from the worst gratuitous violence Tortured episode we've had, but there was a couple of bits that are a bit gross. There's a bit where he's spitting up blood at the end as well. but we've had worse. We've had like fish brains being blown out across a window before now, so this is tame. This is tame in comparison to that. The blowfish. But the other scenes of violence are not too bad. Like when he gets to the military base, that's just like fairly action movie type of stuff with like a shootout, and he's a bit of a Terminator Arnie moment where he's got a machine gun in one hand and his arm spear in the other, and he's sort of taking down soldiers. That's not really gratuitous. That's just like action scene, sort of thing. I just thought, if they finally got rid of the disco glitter lights from the Torchwood car, or was it just because it was daylight? Because they drive me mad. I think just because it's daylight, mate. Oh, right. I was hoping they got rid of them. The other scene, which is quite violent but quite shocking and quite sad, not gratuitous at all, is when Beth goes back to see her husband in the hospital. Oh, yeah. Is it Mike? Is it Mike, his name? David or Mike? Well, I think it's Mike. And she goes to hug him, and her spear sort of comes out without her knowing it, stabs him right through the heart, it looks like. Yeah. So that's really sad, that moment. Because you can tell that... you sort of feel it's going to happen, don't you? But you can tell something's going to happen. Yeah, but initially I thought that one of the other sleeper agents was going to turn up at the hospital. Oh, right. I thought it was going to kick off like that. But no, she, the kind of instincts of the alien sleeper sort of kicks in, and that's it. He's a goner. Well, we don't actually see him die. We see like the doctors and stuff run in to try and save him, I assume. So he may not have died, but he probably did. I think he did, because doesn't she say something at the end of it? I think doesn't she reference it at the end when she decides that she's got to get herself killed. Beth, doesn't she sort of say something like, I can't live with it, what I've done, or something? Yeah. So I'm assuming he died. Well, Jack pulls her out of there anyway, so she doesn't see him die either. I mean, it's a safe bet he died, but Jack has to get so Jack gets stabbed in this one. He just has to get shot or stabbed or thrown off a building in every episode just to remind us that he's immortal, doesn't he? But he gets he gets a blade right between the shoulder. Yeah. But we don't see him die though, do we? Because when Jack normally dies, he has that moment where he's actually dead, isn't he, for a little while. But then he goes, and then he comes back up. I don't see that in this one. They kind of do away with the whole, well, we don't need you to see Jack dying and coming back to life again. Just know that. So that's maybe a thing that newer Torchwood fans might be confused about. Like if you'd not seen, like just say, for argument's sake, this is the first time you've watched Torchwood. Yeah, you'd be thinking, Jack. You'd be scratching your head thinking, well, he's a goner. But then literally like 2 minutes later, he's running around, not even a hole in his shirt. No blood, nothing, and his back is completely normal. You think, what's happened here then? He was knifed through the chest. And the blade goes right through and it comes out of his back.
So you think, well, he's
ruined that coat.
Yeah. So if you're a newbie to Torchwood, this is your first one, you're probably thinking, hold on a minute, is this Doctor Who timey-wimey territory? Have we gone back in time or something?
Did you notice Gwen's reaction as well? She's so blasé to it.
She is now.
It's like the blade goes through him, and he's like, ugh! And Gwen just almost sort of shrugs. That she like, oh, Jack's stabbed again. He'll be back in a minute. She's really blasé about it.
She is.
I guess she's just got used to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think to the concept then of the sleeper cell?
I like the concept.
Peeps? Pretty decent.
Yeah, I thought it maybe could have been explored a bit better, because that's the thing. Like you said, it's not a groundbreaking episode. It's not particularly memorable in many ways, but it's also not bad. It's an interesting watch, and I think mostly because I like this concept of anybody could have this thing inside and you wouldn't know. So that's quite creepy. So that guy in the suit that does activate is pretty creepy, you know, when he sort of turns, because he's just having a sort of very normal conversation with his wife. They're opening a bottle of wine, you know, very everyday thing, and then he suddenly turns and snaps her neck, and you think, whoa. But it's interesting that I thought they were going to do more. I thought they were going to utilize that a bit more. So we do see a few other people activate. There's quite a sort of horrible scene when, you know, the mum with the pram activates or something, and her pram just wheels off into the road, and you don't see it, but you hear the car run over it or whatever. But so we know that other people have been activated, but we don't really see them particularly dealt with. You know, when the guy blows up, we're just to assume that they've been unactivated. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was expecting more of that, because like you said, the premise of it is that they're going to take over the world and they're going to launch these missiles or something, isn't it, that they're trying to get to, and all this sort of stuff. So the premise is quite big, but I don't know that was fully realised on screen, if you know what I mean. That's probably just a budget thing, though.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
No.
Do we see anyone else activated?
No, so we just see the
suit,
paramedic
the one with
guy.
The pram. Oh, the paramedic, that's right. Yeah, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, that guy who plays the paramedic, he's in a few other Doctor Who stories.
Oh, is he?
As an actor, yeah. He plays a taxi driver in one of the stories. I think it's... can't remember which one it is. He plays a taxi driver, and he also plays something else. He's one of those extras, if you like, that pops up in a few of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't recognise it. It's a bit like Paul Casey. He plays the Weevil. Janet. I didn't realise she had a name. Janet the Weevil.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Janet.
When I saw the Weevil, I thought, here we go. They're wheeling out the Weevil again. It seems to be like...
they love that blooming Weevil.
I feel sorry for Janet, though, because in theory, she's not actually doing anything wrong at the minute, but she's locked up. It seems like they're just going to lock her away forever.
Put her in the cage.
At least, teleport her away somewhere. Get rid of her.
Freeze her. Put her in the... Because that's what they do with Beth, isn't it? They're like, we don't know what to do with her. We'll freeze her and put her in the cabinet until we know what to do. Or what? Yeah, why do they do that with Weevil instead of keeping it in that cage? Very cruel.
Yeah.
What did you think of the treatment of Beth? Because they are pretty harsh on her, aren't they? They use the mind probe on her. I always like the fact they give that a nod. And then, they think they've frozen her, and they think they've just put her away in the morgue, don't they, for a while until they know what to do with her. And I thought, wow, it's a bit harsh. Are they going to tell her family? Or what?
Yeah,
but that's a great scene, though, when she wakes up. I love that, because you know it's going to happen, I think. But when you see her sort of open her eyes inside the morgue and stuff, I thought, oh, she's back, sort of thing. I thought that was good.
Yeah. No, that was cool, actually.
Yeah.
And I think what you were saying about they were quite harsh on her. You know, when they put the mind probe on. And they were really harsh with sort of the interrogation and stuff.
Wow, Jack particularly is like, do it again.
Yeah, and then later on when they're like, well, we're just going to freeze you. I think those type of scenes, and because you've got Gwen and Tosh who are like, stop it, it's too much, and you got Jack like, do it again. I think those scenes are quite cool because it alludes to the fact that Jack has been here and done it. Whereas the other guys, even though they've been with Torchwood for a few years now, they've still got that it's almost like, in a way, Captain Jack's character has kind of disconnected himself from his human side sometimes, and he's very much like just the Torchwood machine, because you can tell that, you know, because he's been around the block, not in a rude sense, but he's been around the block in terms of well, he probably has actually.
He has, yeah.
In terms of, you know, he's seen all these different aliens, he's seen what they're all capable of. So when we're back at the hub and stuff and they're interrogating people, people like Gwen are like, oh my God, you know, this is terrible. Whereas he's like, and we saw that a few times in Series 1 as well, quite ruthless streak with him and quite a non-caring sort of side. And I think that's really cool when you see that, because it's like, well, we're reminded that Jack isn't really one of them, is he? Although he's like the head of Torchwood, that he's not really one of them, is he? If that makes sense.
It's weird, yeah. It's funny because Jack's character, although it's the same character that we get in Doctor Who, it does feel different at times. Because Doctor Who Jack, I'd probably feel quite safe if I was with him. Torchwood Jack, I wouldn't. I kind of feel like he's very clinical. He will always do what he feels is the greater good. In other words, if it means you've got to die, but the sort of 10 other people live, you're dead. And, you know, I mean, he's very sort of matter of fact, I think, Torchwood Jack. So I wouldn't feel very safe with him. You know, I mean, even the Torchwood team have had to shoot him and try and kill him before now, because he's just, you know, if he thinks he's right, he will go with it no matter what. Even if he's completely wrong, like he was in the Series 1 final, where he got everything wrong and had to be shot by Owen. But yeah, I don't mean. I think there's a bit of a Doctor about Jack as well in this, because he seems to recognise the alien straight away, doesn't he? He knows what it is, and they know him. There's a bit when that guy's dying at the end. He's like, "We know you, Jack. We've seen you," and all this sort of stuff. And so there's a bit of a sort of Doctor element there as well, isn't there? That he seems to know what's going on, and they know him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, which is good. I like all that stuff. It makes it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, but you're right though. The Torchwood guys are gelling a bit more.
Oh, definitely.
They're gelling better, aren't they? We had in Series 1. So there's a nice little moment between at the beginning at the hospital when Owen takes a phone call from Jack, and he's like, "I need you to stay there all night if you have to," sort of thing. And he's like, "Great." And he goes back to Gwen, and he's like, "Jack said you have to stay here all night."
Yeah.
They've kind of got that banter sort of back now, and
they're much more likable so far.
Yeah,
because that's the thing in Series 1. They're not always very likable. The characters, they're quite selfish and they're quite nasty to each other at times in Series 1. Whereas now, like you said, there's bands between them. They've got to know each other, and you definitely are starting to like the characters more, I think, in Series 2. I mean, we're only 2 episodes in, but already you can feel that the characters have grown, and there's, you know, they're more interesting.
Yeah, defo. Yeah. What did you think to the visual effects or the practical effects that we saw for, you know, when Beth's getting interrogated, and then that you can see the implant appear on her arm?
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good effect. You know, the sort of skin sort of breaks, and then that red light appears underneath.
I thought it was very good, because this is now 12 years old.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was very good, and I thought the spike arm was very good. I think there's only one shot where it looks a bit rubbish. I can't think what
when
it
he's
is.
walking towards the soldiers.
That's it. It looks a bit rubbery, and but yeah, no, I thought the visual effects in this, there isn't a great deal, but what there is, I thought were pretty good. The arm thing looks pretty decent.
Yeah, quite creepy. Yeah, I imagine that would have, anyone that suffers with trypophobia, that would have kicked off big time. You know, that phobia where people are scared of like small holes.
Oh,
have you heard of that before?
Well, it looks a bit like a maze, doesn't it? When you look at it's like a sort of maze on the arm. Yeah. I like the sort of design of it as well, because, you know, like when he's got that little bomb, it looks like almost like a seashell. So it's quite organic, and the same on the arm, it looks quite organic. I thought that looks pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, I thought the effects were decent.
Yeah, it did look good actually. Yeah.
And I'm assuming what they've done is they've CGI'd it when it's opening, but then they've obviously actually physically put that thing on their arm, I assume.
Yeah, I think it was already there as a sort of prosthetic.
Oh, I see.
On
and
the
then
arm.
that would make sense.
And then they just use sort of some very light CG to sort of morph it from their normal arm into that, what it looks like. It's very cool though. Yeah. What did you think to Nikki Amuka Bird then playing Beth? Because she had a few scenes where she really had to go for it, like the interrogation scene, and she was quite stretched in a way that not huge as in range, because there wasn't scenes where she's laughing and joking about and happy, but it must have been quite intense sort of filming, because she had that scene where she's really feeling it in the interrogation scene, and then that like complete despair when she accidentally kills her husband and all that stuff. I think she did a really good job. I actually quite felt for the character by the end of it.
Yeah, no, I thought I was surprised actually. I thought she was very good as Beth. What's the actress's name?
It's Nikki Amuka Bird.
Nikki Amuka Bird. Yeah, I thought she was very good as Beth, because, like you said, she does have to do a lot of emotion acting. And especially when you get an actor that has to cry a lot, it can sometimes be just a bore. It can be really cringy, and you think, oh god. But I know, I thought she was good, because I did feel sorry for her. She so obviously her acting was to a certain standard, because I did feel for the character. So I thought she was very good. Yeah. Again, I was a bit surprised, because I know that some of the comments said she was over the top at times, and I thought, oh god. But no, I thought she was very good actually, thinking about it.
She was cool, yeah. And she,
like you said, she
again.
has to do a lot, doesn't she? She has to go through a lot of emotions. She's very much put through the ringer.
Yeah, she pops up in Doctor Who.
I thought I recognised her.
Yeah, she pops up as one of the professors in Twice Upon a Time.
So, right, okay.
Yeah, so at the University of New Earth, what was that? Crikey, like the year 5 billion or something. Something like that. At the Testimony Foundation, she's one of the professors there. So she does pop up again. They bring her back for some Who action.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just thought she looked familiar, but I assumed it was just from this.
Yeah.
She's done an Inside Number 9 as well. That's a great series.
She's also did what was she in before that? Oh no, sorry. I thought she was in another Doctor Who, but no. Yes, I think she did a decent job though, for sure.
Yes, yes, I did.
Do you think that they were defeated too easily?
It did feel a bit anticlimactic, doesn't it? Like I said, I think this comes back to what I was saying about the scale, because basically they blow one guy up and everything's wrapped up quite neatly. So I did feel that, but then I guess with the constraints of a 45-minute episode, it wasn't the worst wrap up I've seen. I mean, it still worked quite well, but they were defeated pretty easily, weren't they? And thank goodness they had a CB just very handily still switched on in the hub, because I did laugh at that bit as well. I was thinking, so all communications down, but they've still got a CB. Who has a CB?
Who has a CB these days?
Well, Barrowman, obviously.
Of course.
But yeah. But yes, they were defeated easily. To answer your question, I thought, yeah.
They do pop up again though. So
do they
in the Big Finish?
In
the Big Finish Torchwood story called Serenity, they're in there. It's a kind of it's not the greatest Big Finish, to be honest with you, but it's an okay little story. It's basically about this place in Wales called Serenity Plaza, which is like this kind of security gated little community thing. It's like everyone who lives there has got like this perfect little house. Everything's lovely and neat. It's a bit like Stepford Wives kind of thing.
Oh, okay,
But Jack and Yanto pretend to be a gay married couple, and they move in, and so the cell 114, which are the sleeper cells from this story, they are there, and they're investigating what's going on and stuff. So it's kind of cool. It's not too bad. It's only an hour story. It's one of those shorter Torchwood ones. But it's more about Jack and Yanto and them living together, really, and sort of living together as a couple. It's quite cool. But the only downside to that story, though, is that in order for you to distinguish between the sleeper agents and the other cast members on an audio story, they've had to do something with a voice. So anytime one of the sleeper agents is talking, they've got like this kind of sort of strange voice that they're putting on.
Oh, okay, yeah, because we don't really hear them in their form in this, do we?
Exactly, yeah. So
I see.
Yeah, so if you can get past that little sort of niggle, it's not a bad hour to spend. So,
I do need to listen to some of the Torchwood Big Finish because I do hear they're good, and I've had a few people ask me, which do you recommend? And I have to reply and say I haven't listened to any. It's just another range that I need to find money for. But yeah, I hear the Tortured ones are really good.
Yeah, some of them are really good, actually.
Yeah.
This one's not amazing, but yeah, if you want to know more about these sleeper cell 114 dudes, then they're in that one.
What did you think of that guy that, turns out to be sort of like the main baddie, the guy in the suit that was drinking wine that goes a bit AWOL? Because there was something about, he had a sort of evil look, but something about his performance I didn't really buy into. If you know what I mean. I don't know. There was something about him. I just thought,
Yeah, I think him as his performance as an actor, Doug Rollins, I think his name was, wasn't too bad to begin with, but then the way he was written at the end just spoilt it a bit for me, because up to that point, they were very much these kind of speechless, almost like Terminator. They ripped off like the Terminator kind of thing, really. He had that kind of... no mission, nothing's going to stop the mission, that was it. And then at the end, he kind of turns into like a kind of cartoony comic book villain. Because
that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
Because when they're about to stop him, he does this sort of little speech thing, doesn't he? Like, we'll never be defeated. You'll never stop us. And then he does this weird laugh, and you just think, oh, why you didn't have to sort of turn him into, it was like something from like the Marvel universe, some of the bad, Loki speech at the end sort of thing.
It's a bit like Richard Bryars in Paradise Towers, isn't it? When he gets, he's fine up until the bit where he gets possessed, and he starts to start a trap, is it? And he says, "Oh no, you need to tone it down." It's not, goes a bit pantomime villain at the end. Yeah. I'll tell you what, another line I did like was is when they're talking about the communications being cut out, and it's another Yanto classic when he's talking about we'll get some tin cans and and some string and stuff like that. So there was some good humour in this. There's a couple of good lines from different people in this, mainly Yanto, but there was a couple of good one-liners in this, I thought, which does help, because I think with Torchwood, because it's more adult and it can be quite serious, you do need these moments of relief to get you through. So there was some good bits in this. The writer, what's his name? James Moran. Yeah. Yep. So he's written for Doctor Who, right? I think. Did he write Fires of Pompeii or something?
Yeah, he's wrote a couple of other stories. What did he?
Did he write Fires of Pompeii, or am I completely wrong?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, he did. Yep. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I thought the script was fairly witty from him in places, which was good.
It was actually, yeah, not too bad. Especially for Yanto, just those comical little bits, and
just looking to see if was it just Fires on Pompeii? Is that the only Doctor Who he's done?
He'd done another couple of Torchwood stories, and
right.
Yes.
Yeah, not a bad script. Yeah.
Anything else you want to mention, bud?
No, I'm just looking at my list. For some reason, I've written Mind Probe twice as big as everything else on there. I don't know. I must have just liked that bit. No, I think I've done, mate. I think I'm ready to score it.
Cool. It's you to go first, I think.
Yeah, I'm just going to go down I think whenever I enjoy an episode, it's nothing special. I always go for a 7 because it's just a good watch. So I'll go with a 7. Okay. Decent. It is a little bit forgettable, but I'd quite happily watch it again. I thought it was all right.
Okay.
Wasn't bad.
Okay, I'm going to go slightly lower. I'm going to go with a 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Just for similar reasons, really. It is quite forgettable and it's nothing amazing. But there's just nothing in it that made me think, like, this is like Torchwood at its best sort of thing. And John Barrowman, like I said earlier at the beginning, he annoyed me a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, he does feel quite forced at times. Like he's shouting and stuff, but I find that in stories like this, when he does shout and try and be assertive and take control, the opposite happens and it just descends into more chaos. So it's like, if you're going to shout and sort of put your foot down, then do that properly. Don't just shout because the script's told you to be assertive, sort of thing.
It's weird, isn't it? Because in Doctor Who, he seems very comfortable as Jack. And in Torchwood, he does get written differently by different writers, I think, and it's as if sometimes, or at least up to this point, it's as if he's not quite sure, he hasn't quite found his character, if you like. But I think that's down to writing. I think some weeks he's just written differently. But because if you think about him in Doctor Who, he's quite consistent, isn't he, in his characterization? He's sort of a bit flirty, a couple of lines, but gets stuck in and stuff. Torchwood, he can be a bit up and down, actually. I think you're right.
A little bit. Yes. Right, so 7 from him, 6.5 from me. What did our listeners think? We had a few audio clips in. Regular reviewer, as always, Sammy from Down Under.
Hey, Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, Sleeper. Nikki Amika Bird plays Beth. She also is the voice of the Glass Woman / Helen Clay in Twice Upon a Time. She's also in Big Finish's The 8th Doctor Time War 2 box set as Tamazin. Anyway, Sleeper is an interesting concept and it really tries to get you to connect with Beth. But I just don't feel you really get to know her so you can care about her. I honestly don't know what it is that stops me from caring about her. Gwen is Gwen. I don't know, I just don't think it works. Also, why is Jack so aggressive? He seems to deal with aliens by being aggressive towards them all the time. I can't understand it. I give it 5 sleeper aliens out of 10. Stay safe, wash your hands. See ya.
Sammy not getting it.
A 5 from Sammy. Not really feeling this one.
No, she's not feeling it.
Not feeling it at all. But thank you very much for your review, as always, Sammy. Moving on, this is Craig Bryce.
Hi guys, hope you're both well. So sorry I've been able to send in an audio review over the past couple of weeks. I was really looking forward to giving you my opinion of the last 2 stories of Trial of a Time Lord. But never mind, let's get to Torchwood. So, Sleeper, what do I think of this one? Well, it's definitely a better second story than Day 1 was to Series 1, because let's be frank, that was absolutely awful. But this one is really good. I actually really enjoy this one. I prefer it to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I think it's a good idea from James Moran, who wrote the story. I think the sleeper agents is a really good idea and they are really threatening, and I think the performances from everyone involved was absolutely brilliant, especially the actress who played Beth. Sorry, I can't remember her name, but I really felt sorry for her character. I thought she did a really good performance, but everybody involved was good. All in all, I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. A really good story. Cheers guys, speak next week. Bye.
An 8.
An 8 from Craig, liking this one.
Craig, let us know, tweet us or comment on the Facebook and let us know your thoughts on the Trial of a Time Lord if you like, if you haven't already. Yes. Always interesting to hear your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, no apology needed, buddy. It's all good. Thank you very much. And lastly, this is David Carlin.
Hey, Gary and Adam, David from Fulham here. So, Torchwood and Sleeper. This one episode I've always remembered from when it aired 12 years ago. John Barrowman and Eve Miles, as always, takes control, while Owen and Toshiko argue and assist Jack. But nothing special, really. Do I even have to mention poor Yanto? He does bugger all. The character of Nikki was intriguing, as you would wonder the whole time whether she was good or bad, and if she even knew who she was. I'd love to see the Sleepers back in some form, in some way. The story was gripping, and the arm transition has always made me squirm. The actress, by the way, I don't know if you know, she was the voice of the testimony in Capaldi's farewell story. So, really, I really enjoyed it. And I think I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. Thanks, bye.
I didn't know, but I do now.
What you do now?
I didn't know she was the voice. Yeah.
7.
A 7. Agrees with me, a 7.
7 indeedy. Yeah, thank you very much, David. And to our other audio reviewers. Much appreciated, as always. We had a few over on the socials, as always, over on Twitter. Caitlin Dalek said Sleeper is just a rather simple and generic concept, really. I also find it to be one of the more forgettable stories of Series 2. Season. The main team are really good here at the moment, but the execution to the story is nothing special. 7 out of 10. Our writer, regular Big Finish reviewer, Jordan Shortman, says one of the first episodes I vividly remember watching live, and it terrified me. I was a little too young, really, to be watching it, but the man with the blade arm was horrifically frightening. Not one of Torchwood's best, but I look back on it quite fondly.
Yeah.
The Universe of Who says one of the most underrated stories of Torchwood. Not perfect or brilliant, but quite good. The concept is interesting. There's plenty of action. It's very enjoyable, and the cast are on fine form. 7 out of 10. John Griffiths, cracking little ep this, bloody and violent. The arm weapon reminded me of Terminator 2. Wouldn't want to be a resident of Cardiff, living above a time rift and nuclear warheads.
No.
I wonder if the TARDIS has an embedded name in the door like the Torchwood car. 8 sleepers out of 10. Oh, it says Torchwood along the front.
It does, yeah. Needs more flashing disco lights, though.
Brian Chapman says, my first ever Torchwood. And I really enjoyed it. Beth was a great alien conflicted over her existence, and Gwen brought a much-needed heart to the Cardiff crew. 7 neck-snapping activated aliens out of 10. Wow, your first one, Brian. Cool.
Wow.
Jamie Rich, very good episode with some chilling moments, e.g. the pram. Brilliant performance from Nikki Bird, Amuka. Apologies for the incorrect spelling. No, I get you, Jenny. Yeah, that was quite horrific, the pram when it goes into the roads that you don't see.
Yeah.
Sarah Louise, a running Whovian. Always running. I really enjoyed this episode. It had a great storyline, which the cast delivered very well, making it a wholly believable concept. The type that stays with you for a few days. I give it an 8 out of 10.
An 8.
And lastly, Joe says, I think this is a really fun episode. There's lots of action. It's graphic, and some of the jokes are brilliantly funny. I think the person who plays Beth can sometimes feel a bit like she's overdoing it slightly, but overall, I thought the whole team were good. A 9.
A 9, blimey.
9 out of 10. And then we had a few over on Facebook. We had Kevin Mullin say, utterly forgettable storyline and gratuitously gory for the sake of it. 2 spiky arms out of 10, being generous. Oh dear, Kev.
Oh dear, not a fan.
That one. Andrew Cuthbert says, I'm in the minority when I say this is a story I constantly revisit. The dynamics between Gwen and the Torchwood way, quote unquote, when the experiment is to determine whether she is the sleeper alien, the literal ticking time bomb, and some absolutely beautiful looking prosthetics make this one of my favourite stories. A 9 out of 10. 9 from Andrew. Franco Dyer says, how this came from the same writer of Fires of Pompeii is beyond me, as this is far from the sheer quality of that story. The side characters lack interest, the dialogue is pretty inept, and the characterization of the regulars lacks any flair. At least it does what it says in the title, a sleeper of a story. Gives it a 2 out of 10.
Wow.
Another 2. Dean Jones, another solid effort from Series 2. The team dynamic is strong on the whole, and the plot engaging with some great stakes at the end. The humour can be at odds with the tone sometimes, but still has a decent laugh. 8 out of 10. And lastly, Joseph Howarth, finally something that's not Trial of a Time Lord. Sorry, I'm just glad that we're back doing regular stuff. Anyway, the episode, while it's not something I haven't already seen before, it was good for the most part, but I think it's a story that I've heard before. It doesn't have much in the imagination. Torchwood crew still good as ever, but I feel it's a bit on the forgettable side of things. Not really something I'll come back to, but worth a watch. A 7 out of 10.
7, okay.
Another 7. So, yeah, a fairly divided bunch of scores, that one.
It is a bit, isn't it? Yeah, it's a very... Either some that really didn't like it, or some that... Well, a couple that really liked it. But yeah, very mixed, that one.
Okay, well, thank you so much, guys, for all your reviews and thoughts. Very much appreciated, as always. Next week, Bud, what we got?
Next week, time for some Matt Smith, we felt. So we're going to do an 11th Doctor 2-parter, The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon. Next week.
I've been looking forward to doing these ones with you, mate, this 2-parter.
Have you?
Yeah, because over the years, when we've spoken about Matt Smith and Series 6 in particular, we haven't had the best things to say about it, really.
I have not watched Series 6 in quite some time, particularly this 2-parter. Can't actually remember the last time I watched this, so I'm looking forward to revisiting it. Yeah, I really don't know what I feel about this one at all at this point. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to giving this one another go.
Yes. When I say we haven't had good things to say about it, of course, we've had lots of good things to say, but we've also thrown a bit of shade around the Moff just going a bit nuts with this series and and some other bits and pieces. So it's going to be good to and we always skirt off of the conversation as well. Whenever the conversation comes up about something to do with the start of Series 6, we're like, well, we've not reviewed that yet, so don't say anything. But it's a very interesting take on a very interesting direction to kick off a new series. So yeah, it's going to be a fun one, interesting one, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, because it confused the crap out of me when I first watched it. So it'll be good to go back and try and make sense of it.
Absolutely, mate. Same.
Yes, rightio. I think we are going to do there, bud, for 270.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for sticking with the show for another week and listening into episode 270. It's been great to have you aboard as always. Any newcomers to the show, waving, welcome. Any long-time listeners, welcome back. Next week for 271, as Adam said, it's the Matt Smith two-parter, The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon. So get your Blu-rays or DVDs out for that, or Netflix, whatever you watch Doctor Who on, because we'll be asking for your thoughts as always, which is the best part of the show. In the meantime, head over to the website bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our previous shows on there, plus there are links to go off to the various podcast apps and networks. We'd love to have you as a subscriber, that way you won't miss a show when it lands every Friday. And if you've got a minute to leave a review or a rating, that would be awesome, because that helps us out lots and lots. We're on the socials too. Do a search for the Big Blue Box Podcast over on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook. There's links on the website too. We chat plenty of Doctor Who throughout the week, and there's a link on the website to our free Discord server too. So come and hop on there and chat and hang out and discuss and waffle everything Doctor Who. And also, as always, grab a cup of tea and head over to my co-host YouTube channel, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, the old Geek's Handbag.
The old Geeks. Loads of really cool videos from Adam over there. I say grab a cup of tea because once you start watching one, you'll be down the rabbit hole. Adam's got so many cool videos. So get comfy, grab a cuppa, and go and check out Adam's channel. And Adam's on the socials too, under the same name, The Geek's Handbag. So come and connect with us over there on the socials.
I love the socials.
Indeed.
Well, most of them. Someone wants to get me on TikTok though, mate. What is that? What is TikTok?
Oh, TikTok, yeah.
You're not on it, are you?
No.
Okay.
I think it's like an amalgamation of Instagram and something else. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know about that one.
Bloody kids. Yeah, bloody kids. Anyways, we won't see you on TikTok, but we'll see you on the other socials. So until next week for 271, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,